Hi guys, so today we're going to make a Skinner blend pen made to look like candy corn. So of course candy corn traditionally is orange, white, and yellow. It has a little white tip, a lot of orange in the middle, and then a little yellow kind of bottom end. So I'm going to be using these three colors to make a Skinner blend. I've shown you all how to make a Skinner blend with two colors, I believe, before. But I've shown you all how to make a Skinner blend with two colors before, but this time we're going to do three. And we don't want the three colors to melt completely together, okay? So you just still want a defined white tip, the orange middle area, and the yellow bottom. So I'll show you how to do that. Instead of making a square Skinner blend, basically you're going to make like a rectangular shape, and it'll come out really cool. So make sure you have your colors, whatever colors you want to use. It obviously doesn't have to be candy corn. So I'm going to be using these. These are Sculpey 3, I guess. They just came from a pack. As you can see, they're half bricks. And I'll probably be using all of it. You can see the white one I've already used in a different project, but I don't need very much white. So there they are. So little half bricks. You're going to need some pens. I do like the big round sticks, the ones with the white barrel. I only have very few of those left, so I'm grabbing these round sticks. Someone sent these to me, but you can also find them like at Walmart or Target. And that's all we're going to be using for the pen, and I'll prepare the pen for you in a minute. I am going to be rolling it in glitter, and this is the glitter I'm going to be using by Art Minds. You can find this at Michael's, and this is extra fine glitter, and as you can see, it's really pretty, and it has just a gorgeous little kind of yellow greenish iridescent tone to it. So I like that for this pen because I don't want it to distract from the colors of the pen. Very ultra fine glitter, okay? But you can also use, I was thinking glow-in-the-dark glitter would be super cute, especially because it's a pen that has to do with Halloween, with the candy corn. This one works really well. I like Creatology's Glow Glitter, also from Michael's. It's an ultra-fine glitter. It has an orange tone, a purple tone to it, so that, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard to see. So that's kind of why I don't want to use this, but I might still do one pen in this just so that we can see it, okay? But normally what you want to do is look at the reflection of the glitter and make sure it's not going to detract from your design. So I have those. You're going to need either a clay roller or a pasta machine. A pasta machine makes things way easier. I definitely recommend using a pasta machine, especially with the Skinner blend, but you can do whatever you like. And let's get started. This is a strange angle, but I'm just going to show you guys how I condition my clay. This is very soft. Sometimes Sculpey's just like that, and I like that. Some people don't like that, so, you know, just use what you like. But anyhow, sometimes it's not. It gets a little stiffer, obviously, as the older it gets, but this stuff is super soft. So I'm just going to kind of mold it a little bit in my hands. And look how soft that is. I mean, it just does whatever I want. I'm going to open up my pasta maker to the largest setting, which is past, well, this one, the largest setting is 7, but I'm going to open it further than 7, as wide as it goes, okay? And sometimes the wider opening might be 0 or 1, but that's up to your pasta machine. And I'm just going to push it through and keep conditioning it like this until it's nice and pliable, okay? So as you see, it came out, and I'm going to fold it again, and then just keep running it through until all the different colors are nice and pliable. In between the colors, I'm going to use a paper towel with some alcohol in it. I run this I turn my crank here, and I clean it because there will be clay. This is look purple from like the last time I used it, and I just cleaned it too, I thought. So just make sure in between you clean it off, and you should be good to go, especially with the white. You don't want it to get too muddled with other colors. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to run it through till it's nice and conditioned and kind of thick. I'm going to leave it on this largest setting. Okay guys, so I have all my pieces here. The yellow's been rolled out on the largest setting again, the white and the orange. So now what we're going to do is cut these guys up. For the candy corn, like I said, it has a very small white tip, a lot of orange in the middle, and then some yellow at the end. But what I'm going to do is just take my pieces and cut them kind of in a rectangular shape. I'm going to start with the white one because it was the one I had the smallest amount of. I'm just going to cut that and put that extra to the side somewhere. Cut a little bit off the edge here. Okay, so I'm going to make the rest of them so that they're about the same size as this white one, okay? So you can either take the white one and push it on top. A lot of people do that. They stack them and then you kind of pull them apart at the end, but, well, I'll show you. So it just makes it easier. So you're going to put this one on top of here. Cut the orange one down. And if you want more orange, you can definitely add more orange, but just where you place your pen is what's going to define, you know, kind of how much yellow, how much white, how much orange is going to be showing. Obviously the orange is in the middle. Okay? And I'm going to do the same thing for the yellow one, just stack it and cut the same shape, okay? Okay, so I have them here and now I'm going to unstack them. You can definitely do this and kind of squeeze it down and do some makune gane if you wanted, where you kind of press into it. This is basically the same kind of thing that you do. But anyhow, I'm just going to unstack them. So you don't want to press them down because you want to be able to take them apart. And then if you do have any orange or whatever on the color that you don't want, like on the yellow, it's fine, but you can cut it off. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do is basically you're going to take your pieces and make a rectangle of them. So just cut a diagonal and then stack them on top of each other. It's a little bit harder because I have rectangles. Generally, if you do this with squares, it comes out easier, but there you go. So I'm going to do the same thing with all the rest of them. Just cut them right in half and then stack them like a rectangle. So I have my pieces here, and here's the orange one. Here's my yellow. So what's going to happen is we're going to kind of stagger this because there's going to be areas of where you only want white, right? To not blend in with the orange. So what you're going to do is leave it so that when you have this area here, this white, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch strip, is not going to mix into the orange. This orange and white is going to mix in together, and then there's going to be this orange area where it doesn't mix in with the white anymore, right in here, but it's going to start mixing in with the yellow. Okay, so what I'm going to do is place my white clay super close to the orange one here. Kind of push it together a little bit. And then I'm going to take my yellow clay and do the same thing. And again, with the yellow, I'm just going to leave it like this because I don't mind. Well, it's kind of hard to, you have to kind of judge what you want to do with this one, but anyhow, I'm just going to leave it right about here. And I'm going to bring this little corner of the yellow back in here because I need it to finish off this triangle. I probably should have cut it a little different shape, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut off the little white tip. We're not going to use that. Put it with the rest of your white that you had left over. We're going to cut off this top part of this area. So again, this orange tip, we're not going to need it. I am going to take this yellow and bring it right back down in here just to make a little more yellow. If you know a better way or a different way to do it, just do that, okay? So I'm just going to place this. You could have just left it a square, I suppose. But you still have to stack it up twice, okay? So they're twice as thick. I'm going to cut off that excess there. And at the very end, cut off this area. So now what's going to happen, like I said, you're going to have the yellow that doesn't mix in too much with the orange, but we're going to fold it over anyhow. And then we're going to have the white that kind of melts into the orange a little bit with the nice white tip, okay? So what I'm going to do is kind of squeeze these together so that they want to stay together. So I'm just going to work on doing that, just kind of melting them together. Now we're ready for the pasta roller again. If you want the yellow and the orange to mix more, you're definitely going to want the yellow to kind of go into the orange at an angle, or either way. So just, you know, that's up to you, but I'm going to keep mine like this. So it's kind of a partial skin blend. So it's too thick, right? Two thicknesses. This is still set at the largest setting. I'm going to push it through one time, just the way it is. And that's going to kind of stick them together, and since this is two thicknesses of this same setting, it's going to do this, okay? So now it's all stuck together. You're going to fold it in half, okay? So one edge over the other as best you can. It got a little wonky here. Just leave it. But fold it in half, and the fold goes through first, and that way it pushes air out if there's any air in the pocket there. And we're just going to turn it, crank it. You're going to do this 25, 30, however many times it takes to get a nice blend. So now I'm going to fold it up again. So you continue folding up and running it through. Okay, it's going to come out. I'm going to fold it up and run it through. Okay, I'm going to continue folding up and running through as much as it takes to get this blended. So like I said, it takes maybe 15, 20, 30 times. Just depends on your machine and the condition of your clay and all that. But see how it looks kind of funky? It'll start melting together. It's pretty cool. It's a really cool effect. So anyhow, I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll be back when it's all okay, guys. So I ran it through so many times. I think I'm happy with what it looks like now. I did get nice gradation here, and if you want less of that, then you make less of an angle when you first put the colors together. Hopefully I'm explaining that well. But anyhow, I don't know how this orange got at the very tip of this. It must have rubbed off somewhere, but that's okay because we're going to cut that off anyhow. So this is it. This is on the thickest setting, right? So I like the way it looks. I'm going to make this a little bit thinner so we can wrap it around my pens. I'm going to go to like maybe the 5, which is the second to the largest setting. So I don't know what numbers you have. If you have 0 being the largest, then you want to go to like maybe a 2. And I'm just gonna run it through one more time, nice and smooth. And there it is. So now we're gonna cut it up and get it wrapped around our pens. Let's get our pens ready. So I have a few pulled out because I'll probably end up covering 3 or 4, just depending on how much you actually made with your Skinner blend. I'm gonna take the lid off. We're not gonna use that ever again. It's done. I'm gonna take just this tool. You don't have to use a plier or a tweezer. You can just kind of pop the very tip, not the gold part because that's just your pen nib, the black area. There's also this area. Some people don't like covering that. You can cover it if you don't, if you want. I'm gonna cover it because I think it looks neater. So I'm just gonna hold into the very little black area here and just kind of jimmy that out. And the other part I want to come out too, just push it back in place, okay? And then you can still replace this whenever you would like. If your pen runs out of ink, you can just replace that, okay? So I'm gonna put that to the side because I'm gonna show you the one. I'm using this very smooth surface. All it is a laminated sheet of paper. And I'm going to take some of that same towel with alcohol in it and clean this off, make sure there's no debris or other colors that can smear onto my Skinner blend. Now I'm going to bring the Skinner blend over and I'm going to put it upside down. So this is the side I want. So you can see it's nice and blended. The other side it's a little bit funky. So I'm going to turn that over and put it to the side I do not want up facing me because that's how you're going to wrap your pen. I'm going to bring my pen over and, well, the tip is over here, which is fine. So I'm gonna put it over here down towards the white area and I'm gonna try to maximize this, okay? I'm gonna try to use everything that I can get. I don't wanna waste my Skinner blend or my clay because it takes time to make it and they're pretty. So I'm just gonna go all the way to the end that I can do so I can cut it smooth without wasting too much. And then I'm going to just kind of cut it, eyeballing it. Cut that tip off, we don't need that. All the pens are obviously the same length, so you can do this and it's not gonna hurt anything. And cut the very edge off, which is kind of funky anyhow. This I would just toss away, or you can use it for scrap clay, like if you're gonna make a pen stand or something. And then I'm gonna be ready to roll my pen. So I'm just gonna pick up the very edge. I didn't like smooth it down to the plastic. I don't want it stuck down so much. I just laid it on there, right? But when you start cutting into it, it starts wanting to stick down. So I'm picking up the very edge, smoothing it against the pen. Hopefully you can see that. And pushing over, push it over until the clay meets the other side of the clay there. So you can kind of feel it. And I'm gonna cut into that kind of at an angle. Oops, the wrong side of the cutter. And a little bit at an angle, kind of beveled in a little bit. Okay, and when I cut it, here comes my pen with the Skinner blend on it, sorry. And we're gonna press towards that seam. I usually like to cut it a little bit shy of the seam because that way when you roll it you have some area to roll into. I'm going to take my rings off and I am going to move my Skinner blend, making sure this whole area is clean again because I can see where I cut in there. I got some little stuff back on there. Okay, so now all you're going to do is take pretty much the palm of your hand and just start rolling it back and forth. You don't want to press too hard because then you're going to make divots in it where some areas are thinner than others. You're just kind of pressing and rolling, and almost that quickly the seam goes away. I don't know if you can still see it, just barely there, not too noticeable. Still got a little junk on there. So anyhow, we're going to keep doing that until it's nice and rolled up. On the very bottom, I like to kind of press in so that it gathers together. If you're gonna add like a little dangle or a charm, you can definitely do that now. Or at least the charm part, the dangle part of it, and then put your charm on later. And still kind of roll that. Make it look nice and neat. Okay, and on the tip where the hole, the opening is, I just kind of pull that a little bit tighter towards the seam where it's open. And I'm going to lay that down for a second. I'm going to cut that little bit extra off because you don't need that. As you're working with the clay, it'll start expanding and kind of opening up, and that's just going to make extra clay. So now I'm going to close that seam up, rolling it back and forth in my fingers. And that little extra, that lip is hanging over the hole. There's like a little bit extra. I'm kind of eyeballing that and kind of feeling it out with my finger. That's good. And I'm going to push it back towards the little hole because you need that to be completely open so you can replace your pen nib. And I'm just going to kind of hold it lightly in my hand as I roll it at that bevel. Okay? And that's basically it. If you still have a really thick seam, what you can do is come in with like a knitting tool or something, a knitting needle, and just kind of smooth it. You can smooth it with your finger. Don't want to smooth it too much because you don't want to mess up your Skinner blend, but if you still have that seam, just kind of roll it out and then again just smooth it out. Alright, so I'm going to do that for the next 2 or 3 pens, however many I have. I'm done wrapping the pens. It was enough for 3, maybe 4, but I wasn't going to try to squeeze that out. Now what you're going to do is put the glitter on. And now I recommend either using wax paper, like I have here, just a piece of wax paper, or saran wrap. Saran wrap gets a little clingy, so it can start making lines in your pen, so that's up to you, whatever you're more comfortable with. I'm going to take my glitter, and since I've never actually popped it open, I usually just open it. And I'm going to add some glitter here. Okay, so I made it kind of about as long as the pen area, or so. And I'm going to take one of the pens. I'm just going to place it right down in there and kind of start rolling it around, okay? Just so that the glitter kind of knows where it's going. But what you're going to do is, it is a little bit tricky, is kind of wrap the pen, the saran wrap around the pen and start rolling it with your hand back and forth. Not too hard because you don't want the glitter to, like this little pool of glitter, you don't want it to mark your pen or to get into there. And then I'm going to start kind of rolling it away from the glitter area and still pushing it in. That's how I like to do it. If you have a different method, of course, use your method. Okay? And that's basically it. The very tip does not have glitter on it yet, so I'm going to turn it very carefully and kind of push into it. You want the glitter to be pretty much encrusted into the clay. So if you feel that it's still kind of falling off a lot, just bring it back and very carefully smooth it in. Okay? And that ought to do it. So I'm going to put this to the side. I have a few other pens, and I'm going to roll around and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm all done with the wax paper. I poured the rest of the glitter back into the bottle, just kind of making this into a funnel, and I'm throwing this away. Whenever you work with glitter and pens or clay, make sure your area is super clean for the next time because it'll still be there. So I'm going to take this old baking pan that I use for pens. It's all beat up. And I'm going to place a piece of paper. It's just typing paper, okay? Regular old typing paper. On top of that, I have a piece of fiberfill or quilt batting, should I say? And I bake on this because it won't damage the pen at all, and it keeps it kind of elevated and very lightly touching it instead of the pen being completely just on metal. If you do not have this stuff, all you have to do is take your paper. Let's pretend this is the paper because I don't have one with me right now, and just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and crease it. Put it on your baking pan and put the pens in between each spot, okay? So that's all you have to do. It's really easy. And now I'm going to bake it with the manufacturer instructions. They say 275, 15 minutes per 1/4 inch of thickness. These are not a 1/4 inch thick. As you can see, it was just a very thin layer of clay. So what I do is I bake them 260, 275 because of the plastic inside the pen. Especially here, I just moved here, and this I don't know, this oven's really hot. I melted a pen the other day, which I've never done in my life, and I've been making these for like 15, 16 years. So I was like, what? So I'm gonna do a little bit lower, but I'm gonna do 5 minutes. I'm gonna check it, and if it looks like they're good, I can leave 5 minutes more, or you can just take them out. So between 5 and 10 minutes at 260, 275, if your oven runs really super hot, you know, you can go a little bit lower, okay? If you do it lower, you gotta go longer. So a lot of people bake theirs at 225. For, you know, 10 to 15 minutes. So it's up to you. I'm gonna pop these in the oven and I'll be back when they're done. The pens all done. They took about 10 minutes, and I did bake them like at 230 because what happened last time? Actually, what happened last time is I left part of it open because I was gonna do something else. So that's why I melted. It wasn't insulated or anything, it was just plastic in the oven. So anyway, but just, you know, to let you know. And then basically I didn't bring a paper towel. I like to kind of rub the pens a little bit just to get those extra glitter off. Not too much, but whatever's extra that just wants to come off, I would just take it off now. If you're gonna glaze it, you can definitely do that. It'll probably help your glitter adhere even better. I haven't had problems. I have other pens that I've covered in glitter just like this and haven't had an issue with it. But if you're gonna glaze it, you can definitely glaze it. It looks nice and shiny. And then after your glaze is dry, go ahead and put the pen nib back in. I'm gonna do it right now because I'm not gonna do that. So I'm just pushing it back in there. And if it doesn't want to go all the way in, because right now they're still kind of warm, you can just wait. Or what I do, and maybe you don't want to, is I push it against something else that's like hard plastic and just push it in. So there it is. So that's it. And so I hope you guys like these quick and cute, easy pens, and I'll see you all at the next one. Bye now.